Drive your old car, support your local bands, and watch John Yao Media.
I got a 1955 Buick Century, Series 60, 322 Nailhead on air. I bought the car and it was abandoned since 1972, I believe was the last time it was registered. Engine was blown, transmission was blown up. I got it rolling chassis, hadn't been touched since the last time it was drove. And then from there, I rebuilt the motor. We discovered the transmission was bad, rebuilt the trans, and then I drove it 2 years on static suspension before moving on to airbagging it. And then it's been on 10,000 miles now since air with no major issues. I mean, minor things here and there, but otherwise. It was originally sold out of Vinton, Iowa, and it spent its whole life in Iowa until I got it in 2018. And now I keep it. I live in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and that's where it's at.
So it drives pretty nice on the highway?
Yeah, it's a good cruiser. It's not a speed demon by any means, but I can get up, comfortably hold 70. I've had it up to 105 as I've topped it out and got nervous. But
So you said you found this in 70, or you found it, but it was sitting since 72.
72. From what I was told by the guy that owned the junkyard I got it from, the transmission went out and they were revving it trying to get the transmission to work and blew the engine. And it was parked and hasn't moved since.
How long have you had the car then?
I've had it since 2018.
Okay, and it was sitting since 72.
72 it blew up.
That's a long time.
And it never moved, it was never touched. It still had the title from the second owner. I'm the third owner of it.
Well, that's pretty good.
And it was actually retitled when it entered the junkyard. They changed the title to the junkyard owner's name because he said he wanted to keep it and not do the junkyard process with it. So he kept it stashed and retitled it, luckily, which kept the title clean and out of a salvage title.
Okay. Was there a lot of other old cars at that junkyard?
I was not at that junkyard. I met the guy halfway because he was in Missouri. Because he was on the Iowa-Missouri border, and so that's where he was.
So he decided to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually, I believe he said his nephew was the one that fell in love with it, but after so many years, he put it up for sale.
Well, did you find it online somewhere?
Yeah, it was on Facebook.
Okay.
He had it advertised to run in Vintage Demolition Derby.
Oh,
And
no.
I seen it on there, and I couldn't, with the patina that it had on it, I couldn't let that happen, so I ended up with it.
What made you think there was some potential there?
Honestly, I didn't care what the make was and what the model was. I fell in love with the patina, and I learned it from there. This was my first vintage car, my first engine rebuild by myself. I've done essentially everything to it except for the transmission.
It is really cool. Do you see a lot of these big Buicks at other shows?
The Buicks are getting more love recently. They're not a Tri-5 Chevy love-wise. They don't have the following of them. But in my opinion, they're better just because they're less sought after, The car's nickname is the Gas Bomb. That was given to me by my car club due to some isolated incidents involving the airbag system, in which we have discovered in the trial and errors that it has drag blocks on it to throw sparks at night. And when dragging the drag blocks, we cracked the fuel tank. And we were about an hour and a half from home at that point, and our decision came to be that we were going to use a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket with a hole shoved in it as a temporary gas tank to get it home, to avoid trailering. And everybody thought it was hilarious to decide to name it the Gas Bomb because of the bucket of gasoline in the trunk. Above the battery that runs the air ride system.
You got home?
We made it home with about a half-inch of gas left in the bucket.
Oh, perfect.
I don't get great fuel mileage on it, and about 8.5, 9 miles a gallon down the highway, and even worse in the city. But we made it home, and then the following year I did it again because somebody was taking a rolling video going down the interstate, and I touched the frame down at 60 miles an hour and cracked the fuel tank a second time, which sealed up the name, which I now have on the roof of the car in stickers, and it's earned its permanent name. Some names are given and you have to stick with them, and that's one of them.
Subscribe and share this video. Go ahead. Share it. I'll wait. Drive your old car, support your local bands, and watch John Yao Media.
I found it in a field that was going to a junkyard when I got it. I saved it basically. I've had it for 7 years. I hand built virtually all of the truck.
John Yao Media.
One interesting fact is the name on the back, Mistress, my wife came up with, because she said, that car is your bleeping mistress because I spent so much time with it.
John Yao Media.
Fun to drive. Not comfortable.
Does it drive real good?
It drives good, but it's definitely not a comfort vehicle. It's rough riding,
Go too long on it.
and it hurts your back when you're sitting in it for a long time. So
Long road trips.
no long road trips.
John Yao Media.
It was originally on a farm that raised chickens. And in 1930, the wife of the original owner, her husband would load chickens and eggs and stuff and take it to town on the buggy. Well, she didn't like that he had to leave in the dark and he wouldn't come home till it was dark. So she saved pennies, dimes, nickels and bought him this truck. And I bought it from the grandson of the original owner. So technically, I'm the second owner of this truck.
John Yao Media.
And I put the side pipes on. Actually, they called lake pipes back in the day. I like the looks of them, and I like how it makes the car look lower. Funny story is, I put them on, and they're stainless, and I'm a welder fabricator. So I put them on. My intention was not to hook them up right away, because I didn't have time. So I welded extensions on them that put that behind the frame, so you couldn't see it from the wheel well. And then I took a torch and blued the corners so it looked like they were used. So everybody commented on it, but then I had so many people crawl under the car to see if they were hooked up.
Oh, really? People did that?
People would do that at car shows, so I'm like, the next year I'm like, I got to get it on a lift.
Then they would call you out. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yep, I had to get it on a lift and hook them up. And
John Yao Media.
This was bought as a project down in the middle of Iowa, and we brought it up here, and I had to change out all the hubs and the drive line on it, redo a bunch of stuff on the suspension to get it to drive better, and we finally got it on the road last fall, and after 2 years of project, so it's been fun now.
John Yao Media.
How far did you drive today?
About an hour and a half, 78 miles.
That was an okay drive, just not too
No,
comfortable?
it's horrible. It rides really bad. The seat is wood. We've got a couple little cushions on the seat. It only holds 9 gallons of gas.
Wow.
I get just over 11 miles to the gallon with it.
Do you carry extra gas with you?
I got a 2-gallon gas can,
Okay.
but I stop at almost every gas station I see.
John Yao Media.